Have you ever had a guest drop by unannounced when you're in your PJs, hair all messy, and pizza boxes all over the living room? Yeah, talk about a surprise party. Picture this. It's a lazy Saturday. You've had a long week, and all you want to do is unwind. You're in your comfiest PJs, hair looking like a bird's nest, and there's a marathon of your favorite show on TV. Life is good. Then the doorbell rings. You think, who could that be? Could it be the pizza delivery guy who got the wrong address? Or maybe it's the postman with that package you've been eagerly waiting for. But no, it's your Aunt Mabel who's in town for a surprise visit. Surprise indeed! Now Aunt Mabel is quite the character. She's the kind of person who'd judge your lifestyle by the state of your living room. And your living room? Well, let's just say it's seen better days. There are pizza boxes stacked up like a game of Jenga, clothes strewn about, and let's not forget the empty ice cream tubs. The scramble to clean up is something straight out of a comedy show. You're throwing things left and right, trying to make it look like you're not living in a pigsty. All the while, Aunt Mabel is on the other side of the door, none the wiser. Or so you hope. Then you have to act normal, as if you weren't just in the middle of a cleaning frenzy. You've got to smile, make small talk, and pretend like you've got your life together. Oh, the hilarity of it all. And then Aunt Mabel, in her infinite wisdom, decides to stay for dinner. So now not only do you have to clean up, but you also have to whip up a meal. And let's not forget, you've got to do all this while keeping up the pretense that this is just an average day in your life. And that, my friends, is why I now have a no surprise visit sign on my door. Grocery shopping, a simple task, right? Well, not for me. Let's dive headfirst into the whirlpool of my grocery store adventure. It all started with a shopping list. Now, I've been known to misread a thing or two in my time, but this was a whole new level. There, in my very own handwriting, was pickled gherkins. But for some bizarre reason, my brain decided it said pickled giraffes. So there I was, wandering the aisles, searching high and low for the elusive pickled giraffe. Now, you'd think the store staff would be helpful, right? But no, they just gave me strange looks and muttered something about the zoo. I guess they didn't stock exotic pickles. Next up, I spotted a familiar face, or so I thought. Waving enthusiastically, I bounded over, ready to share my pickled giraffe dilemma. But as I got closer, I realized that this friend was a complete stranger. Embarrassment flooded over me like a tidal wave, but I decided to play it cool. So I pretended to be waving at the canned beans behind him. Smooth, right? But this is where the real chaos began. In my awkward haste to escape the scene, I managed to knock into the pyramid of canned beans. It was like a slow-motion disaster movie. One can wobbled, then another, and before I knew it, I was standing in the middle of a canned bean avalanche. The crash was deafening, the mess was monumental, and the embarrassment was... Well, let's just say I now know what a tomato feels like when it turns red. The entire store was silent, all eyes were on me, and all I could do was give a sheepish grin and mumble something about a cleanup on aisle 3. So, that's the story of my grocery store adventure. A tale of misread shopping lists, mistaken identities, and a canned bean catastrophe. I think it's safe to say that grocery stores and I don't mix well. Next time, I'm sticking to online shopping. It's safer for everyone involved. Ever tried to bake a cake with a recipe from your grandma? Yep, me too. Spoiler alert, it didn't end well. Imagine this, you find a handwritten recipe scrawled in your grandma's distinctive cursive. It's for her famous chocolate cake, a cake so delicious it could make a grown man cry. Now you're no master chef, but you think, how hard can it be? Famous last words, right? So you start gathering your ingredients. Flour, sugar, butter, eggs, cocoa powder. Check. The recipe, however, is more like a cryptic treasure map than a practical guide. A handful of this, a pinch of that, bake until done. What does until done even mean? You're not baking bread here, Grandma. With a deep breath, you start mixing. The batter looks, well, let's just say it's more lumpy than smooth. But hey, maybe it's supposed to look like that. You pour it into the pan and shove it in the oven, setting the timer for a random amount of time because remember, we're baking until done. Fast forward 30 minutes. The kitchen smells heavenly like chocolate and nostalgia. You're feeling pretty good about yourself. Then the timer dings, you open the oven and, oh dear. The cake has risen all right, but it looks more like a mountain range than a dessert. There are peaks and valleys and possibly even a mini volcano. You take it out, hoping it will magically flatten as it cools. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Instead, it hardens into something that resembles a rock formation more than a cake. You try to cut a slice, but it's like trying to slice through concrete. The knife barely makes a dent. Well, on the bright side, you've created a new kind of dessert. The cake doorstop hybrid. It's the perfect gift for that friend who loves unique home decor, or, for that enemy who deserves a really, really bad cake. So, if anyone needs a cake that doubles as a doorstop, I'm your person. Laundry day. It's simple, right? You put the clothes in, add detergent, press a button, and voila. Well, not in my case. Let's take a trip down memory lane to a fateful day when laundry turned into a comedy of errors. Picture this. A sunny Sunday ideal for doing chores, and there I was, ready to conquer Mount Laundry. I gathered my clothes, separated the whites from the colors, and confidently tossed them into the washing machine. Now, you might think this is where things go smoothly, but oh, how wrong you would be. As the machine started its cycle, I decided to multitask and catch up on some reading, but as I settled into my book, I heard a peculiar sound. It was as if a tiny orchestra was playing a symphony inside the washing machine. I rushed back to the laundry room, and to my horror, I found my washing machine shaking and rattling like it was possessed. With a gulp, I opened the machine to find the source of the horror. My clothes. They had shrunk to a size fit for a doll's wardrobe. My favorite jeans, my comfy sweaters, all reduced to miniature versions of themselves. And the colors. My crisp white shirts had turned a not-so-fashionable shade of pink, thanks to a rogue red sock. But the piece de resistance was the disappearance of a single sock. An odd sock just vanished into thin air. I searched high and low, even checked the machine's drum, but it was as if it had been abducted by laundry aliens. I kid you not. The Bermuda Triangle has nothing on a washing machine when it comes to making things disappear. So there it was, the laundry day disaster. A day of shrinking clothes, bleeding colors, and the mysterious case of the disappearing sock. A day when laundry was anything but simple. On the bright side, I now have a new collection of doll-sized clothing. Exercising at home seemed like a good idea, until the yoga ball had other plans. There I was, all geared up in my neon workout gear, ready to conquer the world with my yoga poses. The peaceful aura was disrupted by the sudden entrance of my feline companion, Whiskers, who has a notorious reputation of being a tad bit too curious for his own good. I was on my yoga ball, doing the bridge pose, when Whiskers decided to join the fun. Now, anyone who's ever owned a cat knows that their idea of fun is usually at the expense of someone else's dignity. There I was, trying to balance on the yoga ball, when Whiskers, with the precision of a trained sniper, pounced on the ball. The next thing I knew, I was flying across the room, hurtling towards my favorite houseplant. With a crash that would make a Hollywood stuntman proud, I landed in the plant, sending soil and leaves flying in every direction. The yoga ball, having served its purpose, rolled away, probably smirking if it had a face. In the midst of this chaos, Whiskers sat, watching the spectacle with a smug look, probably contemplating his next move. And there I was, sprawled on the floor, covered in soil, and nursing my bruised ego. Well, at least I got a workout from cleaning up the mess.